Welcome to the Improve and Have Fun podcast. My name is Paul PVP Perez. On this podcast, I work on improving myself, having fun along the way with the hopes of encouraging you to do the same. And one of those things I enjoy doing is reviewing movies with friends. On this episode, if you've already seen the headline, we will be reviewing Star Wars The Last Jedi, and there will be spoilers. On this episode, you're going to hear a bunch of my friends, family, co-workers chime in with their 2 cents, and then I will go ahead and give my review at the very end. And please pardon the audio levels as I've used different devices and different methods to record all these audio bits. So just giving you a heads up, the audio quality is going to be a little bit all over the place. But let's dig in. First up are going to be the group of guys that I went to go see the movie with. We just came out of seeing the Last Jedi, Star Wars, and I'm here with a bunch of the fellas. I want to hear their reaction, definitely.
Episode 8,
Jason?
The Last Jedi. Yes.
We're going to give just brief reactions. There's so many of us, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yes, I felt that this was an excellent installment of the series, and I thought it was better than Episode 7.
Cool.
That was a really good show. I purposely did not see any trailer after the first trailer that came out, so I could be the most surprised. And I didn't read any reviews, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, of course, there's always some things that we have issues with, but they pulled it off really well. David?
My only caveat is that it was transparent, the Disney-esque preparation, because they need to continue the franchise, obviously, but it was just so obvious. Little nutmegs here and there of continuing the franchise. It was, I mean, I won't even, not to disrespect them, so I loved it. But some of that was just a little smatterings of children's stuff. That was just a little too. It's like they're trying to like prep the next generation, and I guess you have to. No, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And it kind of ruined the flow for me sometimes. Were these obvious reminders of, hey, don't forget, we gotta keep it going. Gotta keep it going with the little tidbits. Okay, that's what I wanted to say.
Winston, what'd you think?
I think Lucas did the best thing for this franchise he possibly could. He handed over to Disney. Disney are the only people right now who can take this franchise into the future. He took it as far as he could, and it's going to live on because it's with a brand that can get it to a new generation. And as for this movie on its own, I can't wait to see the next one because this is the best one yet.
This is too young, whatever you want. Yeah, whatever you think.
What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, it's recording, yeah. You speaking to it, yeah.
The last scenes reminds me of like the episode 2 with the Yoda king with the with the fighting scene. But overall, I really liked the scenario. It was worth the 3 hours, and I'm waiting for the next one to come out as well.
I'm watching.
Next one's 4 hours.
Now you said so young. You said Episode 2. Did you mean Episode 5 or Episode 2?
Episode 2, when the Yoda came.
I think it's episode 5.
You mean Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back? Because remember, it's 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3 they came out. Okay, so
I would say this. As you said, it was very Disney-esque, but it was also very Star Wars-esque. The brand
Totally
still
Star
lives
Wars.
on.
I just didn't like whenever it
Well-
was obvious that they were saying, "Hey, we're Disney. We're trying to appeal."
Well, it's their
And
it's
we gotta
their
keep
baby
going,
now.
gotta keep
It's their
going.
baby now. They put a lot of money into it. They got to
Yeah.
get their money back out of it.
I know, but
If they don't get their money out of it, we can't get another one.
of course.
So we got to
Do
appreciate
you really
that.
think there's any doubt that there will be
Well,
no
you know,
audience?
it's got to be profitable.
They could put
This one's in the
they
mix,
could
so-
put a
This-
plate of poo in
I
front
think
of you.
I
and
honestly believe
everybody
this
will
is the
show
best one here. Technology, cinematography,
up. No,
the story.
there were some obvious
You know.
green screen. I don't even know. They don't even.
Well,
use green
that's
screen.
Star Wars, man. It's got to have all that
No,
stuff.
there was
If
some
you remember
obvious-
the originals,
she
you
was
got to
lifting
have
the
all that
stones.
stuff.
That was horrible.
right, but remember these new episodes, do have some of the original effects. Like Yoda. It said there that Yoda was again a puppet, or at least part of it. There were old school puppeteers with a glow around them, so it's not all CGI. I mean, they're trying to bring back the original effects, but of course, there has to be some CGI. But
there were two moments when it was just very clear that the separation was poor. You know what I mean by separate, the screen in the back, and that part when when she was clearing the rocks and they were all floating in front of the hole. Remember? Yeah. That was fake. It looks like horrible. Okay,
do you remember the original 3 movies? There was a lot of that in it, and that's why we love it.
Right.
That's where we come from.
Yeah.
So they an attempt to put some of that back into, I think, the best production.
I didn't think there were any obvious moments in the first, the original.
Well, not obvious. It's not obvious. It's the technology back then was as far as it could go, and what Lucas, I think, what he did was he knew he really didn't have the funding or the ability to take the technology further. But you can't get too far away from that old stuff. You can't, because then it's going to be something else. So you got to put some of that old flavor back in it, to keep it what it is,
I was just going to say, I thought that they were going to do, a kind of Episode 5 Empire Strikes Back kind of installment where it was going to end dark. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, no, I mean, we are talking spoilers here, and there were a lot of callbacks to Empire Strikes Back in terms of the look and like some beats from the Empire Strikes Back in this.
Lots of beats.
Yeah. But overall, can we agree that we enjoyed it, or is it a thumbs up?
By far one of the best, if not
Absolutely.
High up there.
Absolutely enjoyed it.
Yeah. A shout out to Ryan Johnson, the director. It says that he wrote it and directed it. I mean, I didn't realize that he did that. That was just.
What had he done before, just for novices like me?
He did Looper.
I loved Looper.
Looper. And then what was the one before Looper that he did? Was it Brick? Yeah, Brick. Okay.
He made something else.
Brothers Bloom. Okay, that's right. That was very good too.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Looper was so great. But guys, I'll let you guys know when I put it out. But this is our early reactions, and we're all gonna sit and like process this movie some more. But guys, thank you so much, and Jason, thank you for coming out tonight. We got to do this again.
Thank you for everyone.
I said that Solo was the next Star Wars movie. Solo's coming out in spring.
And I just want to say one last word. To end it. Just to say what the guy with the lips that Lando Calrissian used to speak to.
No, but whatever his name is. All right, next up is a coworker for my current job. His name is Jason. I know too many Jasons, but here we go. I'm here with a coworker. His name is Jason, and he is always very opinionated, So I wanted to get. He told me his take on the Last Jedi maybe a few days ago, but I just wanted to actually get his reaction. I found it interesting. So, Jason, what were your thoughts on Star Wars: The Last Jedi?
It wasn't what I expected. The story went to a totally different direction than you expect. They left you on a cliffhanger where Lucas, seemed to be this great Jedi master and turned more into like a comedy sketch. It was good, but it's not as good as the first one that came out. It doesn't make you it's just not as like makes you want to watch it again, It's like one and done.
Now, for the first time on this podcast, my older brother, and let's get his opinion. You saw the original movie, and I'm assuming you've seen every movie every movie of the Star Wars series to date, and I'm sure you have your opinions on whether they're good, they're bad. For me, they all have been pretty good. None of them has been absolutely terrible. Not a single one. Yeah. All of them have been good, but this one that just came out now, it's initially, like I said, I saw it, and we're going to talk about it right now, but. This movie online is being very polarizing to people. Like, the critics loved it, but the fans are very mixed. But The Last Jedi...
That's like I said, when I saw it, I was like...
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, okay, I have to see it again. I have to definitely see it again.
It's so funny because you're not the first person to say that. Like, I was even thinking today to go... I ended up getting a little busy, but in my neighborhood, they have like a $7 theater on Tuesday specifically to go see the movie again. But I thought the same exact thing. But I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, because like I said, we came down here. Me and my girl went to.
Now,
go see
Blue,
that,
speaking to the mic. Speaking to the mic, my man.
me and my girl went to the Harkins, over the brand new Harkins theater. They opened up here with the freaking huge. I mean, the screen was huge, dude. It's huge.
That's cool.
It almost looked like an IMAX screen. That's right. When you make it this way, and they give a good blockbuster movie, that's the movie theater I'm gonna take. Like a recliner
Excellent.
seats,
Excellent. We saw Spider-Man
But,
together, actually. Like Spider-Man, like the Amazing Spider-Man together. I remember us seeing that together. But continue.
Yeah. But that one, said it was a good movie. I mean, it was a good movie. There was like certain things that I had to had to see it again, because it was like in that big screen and all that stuff going on, freaking TIE fighters and freaking big ass dreadnought getting blown up, bombers driving. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was like overwhelming. I was like, okay, slow down. Let me just rewind and do this again and stuff like that. So I was like, but like I said, in the sense, like I said, it was a good movie. And in the sense, it's like, the way, things go. Carrie Fisher passing away in the whole nine and stuff like that. So that's going to leave it questionable for the next movie.
Yeah, because she made it out of the movie alive, yeah.
Exactly. And then also, too, them killing off Luke Skywalker, stuff like that. So it's like, the weird thing about it is like, they're closing the old chapter. And then they got the new chapter already opening up with the new characters. So it's like, okay. So now it's like, this to me was like the intermission movie. Like, when Star Wars came out, and then Empire Strikes Back came out, and then Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was like, the first one was Star Wars, that was great. Then, The Empire Strikes Back was like, okay, a few things, but it was like an intermission movie. It was like a bridge for the, for the next piece of the pie, which has, all the good stuff in it. So hopefully maybe the next one, it'll have more stuff on it. Because, I mean, this one was good. It was good, but it was, like I said, it was certain little things. It was like little certain things missing that I'm like, yeah, I could explain this a little bit and that a little bit. Yeah, then it could be, But overall, it was okay. And overall, like I said, I enjoyed it, stuff like that.
Okay.
Overall, I enjoyed it. But like I said, it's just a few things I need to see it again so I can be like, oh, okay, now I know it's stuff.
Now for my review. This review is written a few weeks after the movie's release. Here's a brief timeline of some of the film's production and reception. For the most part, it went smoothly, as opposed to the upcoming Han Solo movie, which had directors being replaced by Ron Howard. And I say directors because it was Lord and Miller. It was two directors co-directing the movie initially. September the 1st, 2017, was Force Friday, where the movie's merchandise, this movie, The Last Jedi, was released. A new animal species introduced in the film called porgs were the go-to toy. Everybody was going gaga for. The official trailer for the film was released October 2017, and according to Wikipedia, it is the sixth most watched trailer from 2017, clocking in at 120 million views. A significant vote of confidence was given to the director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson. Disney has put him at the helm of a new Star Wars movie series. It would be separate from the Skywalker saga. This was announced a month before the release of this current episode. The movie was released to extremely positive reviews by critics. Fans, however, were split. Some are saying Disney is destroying Star Wars. Others are saying that they loved it. This chapter in the series became one of the most discussed movies in social media for 2017. As of this writing, the film has grossed the biggest domestic box office for 2017, crossing over the $1 billion mark. Anticipation was through the roof as fans finally got to see Mark Hamill play the role of Luke Skywalker after the events of The Force Awakens. George Lucas himself publicly complimented The Last Jedi. Mark Hamill at one point stated he wasn't happy with the direction of his character in the film. He later recanted his comments and praised Mr. Johnson's direction. Now, friends, family, and a coworker have weighed in with their opinions. I usually try to stay away from others' opinions because they typically sway mine. And it's hard to do as this movie was all over pop culture, but I'm going to share with you what I enjoyed. The callbacks to The Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5. Luke's reluctance to train Rey, his odd behavior on the island, all similar to meeting Yoda for the first time, like I said in The Empire Strikes Back. The battle on the Salt Planet in the third act, the Rebels on the Run, is a total throwback to the Battle of Hoth. By the end, the Rebels don't fare very well in this particular episode, in The Last Jedi, and this is another callback to The Empire Strikes Back, where I would say at the end, it doesn't look like they're really winning. Luke has his hand chopped off, and they're just kind of planning on what's to come next. The Last Jedi also had a weird vibe, which I enjoyed. Terry Gilliam, Brazil kind of flavor. Especially the Luke stuff on the island. There's crazy behavior and the nipple milk and all that other stuff. Finn's quest felt like a forgettable adventure movie, similar to Nicolas Cage movies like Next or National Treasure. Snoke's death was a surprise. The movie begins to set him up as a big bad heavy, really investing in him and his dialogue and his talks with Kylo Ren. Like, this guy is going to be something to be reckoned with, and I'm talking about Snoke. Suddenly he's deleted, and I'm there channeling my inner Matt Hardy. The entire scene where Kylo and Rey were fighting the Praetorian Guard was electric. It was the look of it and everything. It was amazing, and the way the camera panned back and forth between them, very, very cool. The Skywalker Solo stuff was fantastic. The going back and forth between Mark Hamill and Kylo Ren. I just always forget the actor's name. My goodness. Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, some of Rey, some Kylo. That stuff was it was great. Everything else was a lot of fun, but it wasn't on the same level as when it came to the Skywalker stuff, when it came to the Solo stuff. Being into self-improvement myself, Yoda throughout the series has given unforgettable advice, which has gone and been in society, and people have quoted it. And in this movie, the classic line that has been quoted over and over again was, "Do or do not, there is no try." But in this movie, he says, "The greatest teacher failure is," and I absolutely love that. Finally, the John Williams score, the familiar sights and newer versions of old tech, such as the AT-ATs and the new versions of the stormtroopers and the small alterations to their costume, brought me right back into the Star Wars universe. The text crawl in the beginning, just great stuff. Now, my issues with the movie: the villains at times are laughable. When Hux starts speaking, I started laughing, and I wasn't the only one in the theater. Domhnall Gleeson's performance is cartoony at times. Kylo Ren's infantile outbursts make him seem like a kid, really. At the end of the film, he's set up to be the primary antagonist moving into the next episode. But with his behavior, it doesn't feel like he's ready for the big leagues. I felt that Orson Krennic in Rogue One is more threatening, and he had less screen time in one film than Kylo has had in two. During Finn's quest, I didn't like the rich people are bad message. This gave me shades of the Occupy Wall Street movement. And do I really need real life in my sci-fi? Well, it's debatable, because it can be great sometimes and it could just be hitting you over the head. And I felt that in this particular occasion, it was like hitting me over the head, and I didn't appreciate that. Where The Force Awakens was much more fun, but lacking in substance for me anyway. The Last Jedi, it carries weight, but is not as joyful. It's not as happy movie. But the director said as much, and he said that this chapter was going to be a darker chapter. Finishing up, the saddest news during production was Carrie Fisher's death, which happened in December of 2016, I believe. Which, after seeing this film, one thinks, how are they going to be bringing her back into the final film of this trilogy? CG style, like in Rogue One? This remains to be seen. Either way, I'm in there day one to see the next chapter of this amazing movie series. As always, I want to, of course, hear what you think. You've heard all these different voices chiming in on this episode. So please, I'll leave a link in the show notes, and I'll leave all my social media and all the ways you can contact me in the show notes, and you can go ahead and chime in with your opinion, definitely. On the next episode, we're going to be taking a step away from the movie reviews and be talking a little bit about sex. And believe it or not, we're going to be talking about if using a fleshlight is better than actually hands-on masturbation. So that's what we're going to be talking about in the next episode. And this is the Improve and Have Fun podcast. Find all of my material at improveandhavefun.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please support it by doing any or all your shopping through my eBay and Amazon links in the show notes for this episode. Or you can also leave a review on iTunes, subscribe, rate this podcast, and that's the end. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for listening, and we are out.